This is Histories and Mysteries Uncovered. I'm Ashley.
And I'm Jessica. And on this week's episode, Ashley, we will be talking about a Michigan doctor.
Mhm.
And I swear it's more interesting than that lame-ass title.
No, I just picked out a random doctor and I'm just gonna tell you about his life and call it
Yeah.
a day.
And then I am going to be talking about the Queen Mary, or the RMS Queen Mary, so that you don't get confused with a ship for a queen. So it's also really haunted. So
She like
I talk,
super haunted, right?
yeah, she's like one of the most haunted ships.
Yeah.
So I talk about the history, which I find really interesting.
Yeah.
And I also talk about the ghosty stuff.
Yeah.
So I hope you like it all because I wanted to talk about her for a while. And I've also really wanted to go stay there, but it's expensive.
Oh, I would
And
not stay there. I'd visit, but I wouldn't stay.
oh, I 100% would stay.
I'd get possessed.
Oh, really? You think you get possessed?
I think I'd get possessed.
That's awesome. I really need you to come here so that we can go do that ghost investigation at Black Creek Pioneer Village that I did again this past
Um,
October. You really need to come with me. It's so much
what if I
fun.
get possessed?
You won't because it's safe.
I'm always afraid of getting possessed.
No, we didn't go into the really negatively energied house
Oh, okay.
because that house has a really scary ghost.
I went when I toured the Charleston jail, we went down into the basement where I guess there's a really angry ghost, but he's just kind of shitty. Like he threw a brick at one of the tour guides and hit her in the head.
Ah,
Yeah, he's kind of like a shitty ghost.
that really sucks.
Yeah. Look at your coffee cup.
I know. I did it especially for tonight.
Oh.
For our YouTube people can see this. It's our Histories and Mysteries coffee cup.
Yeah. We did
It's
a contest a
beautiful.
while ago and that was one of the prizes.
I didn't win a contest. Ashley just kindly sent me one.
Yeah, I sent her one for her birthday. I
And
kept
the
one for
one that
myself
you could
too.
have doesn't have your name on it. So
Yeah.
it's just a plain old cup without a name, but I love my mug.
I'm so happy.
Yeah, I love it so much.
Guess what I'm doing on Saturday, Jessica?
I know exactly what you're doing on Saturday, Ashley.
I'm getting a tattoo, guys.
Her first one.
My first ever tattoo. I'm so excited.
I'm excited for you. I told Ashley that her first tattoo should be a ham because of our podcast, because we're the
And I
smoked
said,
hams.
listen, if I've made it 37 years without a tattoo, my first one is not going to be a ham.
But her second one isn't going to be either, guys. So I think she just doesn't like the idea of a ham tattoo.
That's 100% it. I don't
We
like
could make it so cute.
I wanted to do a ghosty tattoo with her, but she didn't like that idea because we don't do paranormal a ton.
We don't do it a lot. So
But
if
I'm
you guys
getting
have tattoo ideas for us, I swear we will meet up in the middle somewhere and we will get a tattoo together.
I don't swear that, but maybe.
But give us your ideas because we're
Yeah.
kind of on, we don't know what to do together, but
Hopefully I like it. We'll see how much I like it when I get it done.
you
But
will.
I'm getting the 2 moons in the phase of when my children were born. And then 3 or more or fewer, I don't know, not fewer, but maybe more stars in the birthstone colors of my mom, my dad, and my brother. And the reason why I say maybe more, maybe less is I really liked my tattoo artist's art. And so I told her just to like make it
Wing
pretty.
it.
Yeah. I really like really feminine, pretty tattoos. Go.
So none of mine.
Yours are I like your little guy.
My little ghosty?
Well, I love your ghosty, but the little prince, I love that one too.
Oh yeah, I forgot. I always forget that he's here.
He's beautiful. I love him.
I forget about him. because I don't see them very often.
Well, I was thinking the other one I might get if I don't like super hate this process is I'd love to get one of like an outline of my dog that passed away, her like head, those like just the outlines of the dog heads.
Yeah,
I
that'd be
like
cute.
those. Yeah.
I do too.
So that's what I'm doing Saturday. So next week when we record, I'll show you guys my tattoo if you watch on YouTube, and I'll tell you about my experience and how much it hurts or does not hurt from a 37-year-old who's getting her first tattoo.
I mean, you've gone through childbirth, so
That's
I
what I said.
feel
I feel like
like
if I could go through childbirth and I could go through a perforated bowel, which in my opinion was worse than childbirth, uh, I can do a tattoo.
yeah, exactly. So suck it up, diva.
I asked in one of my Facebook groups if it's rude to listen to like a podcast, like if the pain gets too much and I want to distract myself. Everybody said no. My husband said it was rude.
I don't think it's rude.
Okay.
Just
I
if
think
you
Cody's
have
just
like
crazy.
AirPods or like just wireless headphones,
Mm-hmm.
maybe just keep only one on.
Yeah, like the one away from her so I
Yeah,
can still hear her.
exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'd only like if it starts getting bad, then I'll just be like, hey, do you mind if I put this in? Because I gotta focus on something else.
I would just put it in when you start, not halfway through.
Yeah.
I would just start with them and then go from there.
Yeah.
But
You
just
have one
keep
on your
one.
forearm, right?
Yeah, I have a few on my forearm. So I
How
have
bad
my
is it?
lighthouse here. The lighthouse?
No, I'm getting mine here on the lower
Like
forearm.
this guy, these
Yeah.
guys?
How bad was that pain?
I don't know. I'm like trying to wrap my arm around. So this actually wasn't like terrible, but it is fine line, which some
Mm-hmm.
people find are worse than if it's like fill-in. But I
Okay.
found that when I had my Eye of Ra filled in here,
Mm-hmm.
that it was awful and I bled a lot. It was right on my wrist, right?
Oh,
So
okay.
I bled a lot. The skin's really thin there. Um, but to me, my worst one was my leg
Okay.
because I have my full like calf, right?
Yeah.
And shin. The shin was the worst.
Cody said the shin was bad.
Oh,
Yeah.
it was awful. Awful. But I also was stupid. Don't dry shave the day of. I
Oh
don't know what I
no.
was thinking because I'm like, oh, I'll just get the process started for her so we don't waste time shaving my leg.
Yeah.
And I decided to do it a couple minutes before I left my house. And I
Oh
dry shaved. I didn't even
no.
use water. I used
Oh my
nothing.
God.
So it was like the worst pain ever. And thank God nobody else was in the shop that day. So it was literally just me. And she's like, you can swear if you would like. And I was like, motherfucker.
I'm so afraid that I'm gonna get there and she's gonna do like half a moon. I'm like, I can't do it anymore. And then I have like half a moon tattooed on me.
Well, why don't you get her to just start with the stars and see how it goes?
Oh, that's a good idea.
Right? Because they're smaller.
Yeah, and even if I have like one star tattooed on me, like whatever,
Exactly.
instead of like half a moon.
Yeah. So just start with the stars and go from there.
Yeah, that's a good idea. That's a good
But
idea.
honestly, it's not that bad.
Okay. I'm
Yeah.
scared. I'm scared, guys. I'm scared, but we're gonna
It's
do it.
exciting.
I'm
It's so
super excited.
exciting.
I'm really excited, but I'm also really scared.
Yeah, that's fair.
All right. So let's scooch on into the stories.
Yeah, sorry everybody. We don't it's like we don't talk all week, but we do
Yeah.
every day.
Oh, sorry, I'm yawning. So this story is wild. I got my sources from Medical News Today, the Detroit Press, ABC, NBC, CBS, all the letters.
The alphabet.
Yeah, and I think that's it.
Oh,
So,
okay.
March 2011, Christopher Sneary had 3 words said to him that no one ever wants to hear. You have cancer. He was diagnosed with testicular cancer and his life would be forever changed. He was referred to one of the best oncologists in Michigan, Dr. Farid Fata. Dr. Fata received his medical degree in Lebanon, where he was from, and then he did his residence in Brooklyn and finally had a fellowship in hematology/oncology at Memorial Sloan Kettering Cancer Center, which is apparently like super prestigious.
For a second, I forgot you were American.
Why?
No. And it's literally called a Michigan doctor, but I don't know why. I was expecting you to say that this was in Canada. I don't know.
Nope.
Okay.
This is in America. Good old
Don't know
America.
how I forgot.
So he opened the Michigan Hematology Oncology Center, and it was one of the biggest cancer centers in Michigan. He was the cancer doctor to see. He had his own lab, he had his own pharmacy, his own radiation treatment facility. And at the height of its popularity, the practice was seeing about 17,000 patients. So, like, this was the place to go.
And he opened it.
He did. Yes.
Oh, okay. So he did some good.
Yes. So
False agenda?
Dr. Fata, I think it's Fata. I think that's what I remember hearing. Fata. Fata? No, it's Fata. Was known for his aggressive approach to treatment, and he gave higher doses of chemotherapy at a more frequent rate than other doctors in the area. He called his
Ew.
protocol the European protocol.
Oh,
So he got like the hard cases, right? Like
like
normal,
Dr. House.
yeah, Dr. House, but like not as cool because it's all cancer. Not saying that illnesses are cool, but like House's cases were interesting. Not saying the cancer's okay. I'm going to stop. I don't know where I'm going with this. So, knowing all of this, Chris was excited to be seen by Dr. Fata. He had hoped that he could beat his cancer diagnosis and live a long, healthy life. And just as his reputation had stated, Dr. Fata treated his cancer aggressively. So, for comparison, chemotherapy is done in cycles. It's generally 4 to 8 cycles. So, for a 4 week cycle, you would have chemo on the first, second, and third days, and then nothing more until the 29th day. And on average, it lasts between 3 to 6 months. So, after that, I think they start looking at other options, or you rest for a while and then maybe start chemo up in a little bit.
Okay.
For an average testicular cancer treatment plan, they recommend, depending on the medicine that they use, and obviously various other factors, but this is just like average, drug administration for the first 5 days for only an hour a day, and then repeat this cycle for 3 to 4, or sorry, repeat the cycle for 3 weeks for 4 cycles. So day 1 through 5, and then nothing for another 2 weeks, and then day 1 through 5, and then nothing, and then you do that 4 times. So Chris was in Dr. Fata's care for a little over 2 years, and he received 40 full days of chemotherapy, 14 days of hydration, 3 iron transfusions, 3 blood transfusions, 24 different steroid injections, and 37 radiation treatments to his testicles, abdomen, chest, and neck.
Holy shit.
Yeah. But he trusted the doctor. I mean, after all, he was the cancer doctor to see in the area, and he owned the whole dang place. Then one day, to Chris's horror, in 2013, he saw his doctor on the TV. And he was
Oh
like,
no.
what the heck? And Dr. Fata had been arrested for misdiagnosis of cancer and Medicare fraud.
Oh no, he's that guy.
Yeah. But
I don't know. I don't know about who that guy is, but I meant like, you know.
like that asshole.
Yeah.
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 But Chris was in denial. Like, certainly this hadn't happened to him. I mean, he did have cancer. Another doctor diagnosed him with cancer. So Dr. Fata couldn't have misdiagnosed him because he wasn't the one that diagnosed him from the start. But he obviously had to find a new cancer team. And when he did, they were horrified. After 2 weeks of reading through 3,400 pages of medical records, they found that this pretty easily treated cancer was grossly overtreated. In fact, they were amazed that he had even survived the treatment.
Shit, eh?
Yeah. Aside from the psychological damage that was done, I mean, can you imagine ever trusting a doctor again? He had some pretty severe physical damage. Among the many issues he now lives with, he said, my kidneys almost failed due to the poisoning and subsequent overdose of specific chemotherapy drugs. My bladder has been compromised due to the improper sequence and administration of protective drugs before certain chemotherapy drugs were given. My liver function has been compromised due to numerous medically unnecessary iron infusion and the 7,000 plus oral medications. My heart has sustained unnecessary abuse and wear due to going into atrial fibrillation condition due to the overdosing of chemo. This is crazy. This condition required me to have 3 cardioversions within 24-hour period in the hope of surviving, which I'll talk about that in a second. His ears ring all of the time, and he has hearing loss due to nerve damage. He twitches at night, and he even had to have a testicle removed that was found not necessary to do, and it caused him erectile dysfunction.
Wow.
His immune system and nervous system are completely compromised, and his hands and feet have severe chemo-induced neuropathy. And apparently, neuropathy in hands and feet, it should be one of the first signs that a person with cancer is receiving too much chemo. And Chris had told Dr. Fata about it, but the doctor told him to just move his fingers and toes for some exercise and it'll go away.
Oh my goodness, buddy.
He said, my hands and feet play a major role in my job function as I am a tool and die maker. He owned his own business. And he said, it made my job unbearable most days as I need to stand on my feet all day. Over 4 years later, my hands and feet have seen very little improvement. I'm told my chances have run out that the neuropathy will ever get better at this point. He also has residual tumors, and instead of surgically removing them, Dr. Fata continued to overtreat, so much so that these tumors are scarred. So there's basically no treatment for them other than surgically removing them.
Wow. And were there, this Dr. Fata,
Mm-hmm.
was he doing stuff at the other places he was working before he opened this?
I don't think so. And I'm going to get into him a little bit more, but in this place, he had his own lab and his own basically his own like empire. So in the other places there were people more watching over him, especially when he was like an intern, and then you have the resident, but the resident still has, the chief of medicine or whatever
Yeah,
you work with, and then you do a different laboratory, and there's, lab techs that look at things. And so I think it would have been more impossible for him to lie the way he did. But
that's
in this, he
fair.
owned it. So there was no one really looking over him. He owned his own lab, so he could like fake the lab results and no one would be the wiser. So these tumors are just chilling. But at any point, they could start to grow. And then the only option would be to surgically remove them. And there wouldn't be an option for like chemo or radiation of the site afterwards. So you just kind of have to hope and pray they get all of the tumor. And Chris described them as ticking time bombs. Can you imagine just living with that? Like knowing at any moment these could just poof.
Absolutely not. That would be terrifying to live that way.
Yeah. He said, I'm now required to get CT scans and blood work for the rest of my life to monitor the movement and growth of them and hope to catch them if they do. Everything I do or want to do or used to do will never be as it is. I will never be the same. So Chris was hospitalized many times during his treatment. One time in particular, his heart was beating at 225 beats per minute.
Holy shit.
Yeah. And he was slipping in and out of consciousness.
No kidding. Your heart is literally about to explode.
This is insane. So the doctors had to perform what is called a cardioversion on him. And that's where they shock your heart to stop it. And then they shock it again, hopefully getting it back into rhythm.
Holy crap.
Yeah. And it's obviously really risky because they're stopping your heart. So you have to sign a waiver and they put you under and then they do it. But they put Chris under and the first cardioversion didn't work. And so they had to do it again. But at this point, his anesthesia wore off and they didn't have time to put him back under.
Oh, fuck.
So it was a desperate situation. He said, if not done, I would die. And if they did, I could die. He said the pain of getting electrocuted to death and waking up from it is nothing I would wish on anyone to ever experience. I had asked Dr. Fata on his rounds that night if I would have to endure all of this again. I still had 3 more rounds of chemo that could possibly put me at risk for these painful procedures again. His reply, as he put his hand on my shoulder and knowing he was overdosing me, said, "You can handle this, Chris. You're a tough guy," which is just awful. Aside from all of the physical issues, he is financially ruined. He estimates that his insurance company was billed for over $400,000 in procedures, most of it unnecessary, but we don't care about insurance companies because they're evil. He, however, had to spend thousands on deductibles and copays and missed so much work. He estimated that he missed out on 6,000 man hours, and he owns his own business. So, like, that's a big deal. He's losing out on his own revenue. He said, "With the condition I'm in now, I would be very hard pressed to find employment elsewhere in this trade. I need to continue working at my business or I could possibly lose everything. If I lose my business and my health insurance, who is to pay for the continuous care I still require and any possible and most likely relapse cancer care? He has financially destroyed any chance of me being able to retire with any financial security."
I was gonna say that earlier. Like, you guys, just one little trip to the hospital could
Mm-hmm.
cost thousands of dollars.
Mm-hmm.
And he's hospitalized for days.
Yeah.
I can't. Like, I understand our healthcare system fucking sucks, but it's free. So, like,
Mm-hmm.
you get what you pay for.
Yeah.
But that's just insane. It should never cost that much
I know.
to save a person's life.
I know. It's crazy. So that was Chris. Then there's Robert Sobere. Back in 2010, Robert had to have some hardware placed in his back by his neurosurgeon, but they had to take it out 2 months later because it was super painful for him. And his doctor's like, "Wow, I'm not sure why that's painful. Let's get a full body CAT scan." And they found that Robert was missing some bone in his back. So his doctor referred him to Dr. Farid Fata.
Oh no.
Dr. Fata looked at his CAT scan and said he wanted to do a bone marrow biopsy. And then he said it was weird. Robert said it was weird because he just did it right there in the doctor's office room.
What?
Yeah, just did it right there. And the results came back and he was like, "Yeah, that's weird. I need to do another one." Just did it right there again in the doctor's office. And about a month later, Dr. Fata told Robert that he had multiple myeloma or bone cancer, which is a super rare form of cancer. So right away, they started fighting his cancer. Robert went through months of chemotherapy and 3 weeks of radiation. The extreme doses of chemotherapy caused his teeth to fall out and his jaw to change shape. One tooth fell out, roots and all, leaving a hole in his jaw that went into his left sinus cavity.
Holy crap, that's not okay.
Yeah. After seeing the doctor brought up on charges, Robert saw another team of doctors and they looked through all of his records, including the CAT scan and the bone marrow biopsy that Dr. Fata performed, and they were shocked. They sat Robert down and told him that he never had cancer to begin with.
Thought that was where you were going with that.
Yeah. So after all of this, he went to several dentists, but because of the chemotherapy medicine that he had been on, the dentist wouldn't touch it. They're like, "You need to go to a specialist. Like, we can't do this." So he went to the U of M dentist, University of Michigan, their dental school, and they were able to fix the hole and like pull some of his teeth, because some of his teeth, they just like broke off at the gums. So he still had like teeth in his jaw. So they had to remove those. The whole, I guess the way they did it, and I didn't understand this 100% because I'm not a dentist. They like took a flap of his cheek and like kind of
Yeah.
put it over. So now because of the way they did that, he can't get dentures. So he's no longer a candidate for
Uh,
dentures. So he just is stuck without
that
teeth.
sucks.
Yeah. And obviously the various other issues that come with high doses of chemo. And he actually, poor guy, he has a GoFundMe page, and we'll link to that in our notes in case you want to donate to him. He's trying to get some money together to help get him teeth. He basically said he just misses being able to eat. Like he just want like a salad. He said, I just want a salad.
Yeah.
You can't eat that
Imagine
right now.
having to eat soup all the time.
That's what he said. Like if he wants a steak, he has to put it in a blender. And he's like, I'm not doing that. That's disgusting.
That is disgusting.
Yeah. So he just doesn't eat that food, which is awful. I love food. It's
Me
awful.
too.
Another patient of Dr. Fata's, Liz Lupo, whose mother was seen by the doctor, said that her mother died an agonizing death from lung cancer and that she was too trusting. She said she wanted to believe in Dr. Fata because he was the only one giving her hope at the time. She said, the doctors would send me down the hall in the waiting room, which would be past the ICU doors. They put me in the waiting room so that I wouldn't hear her screams, and you could still hear it loud and clear. She was just in agony and pain from the treatments he was giving her. And she did pass. Another victim, Patty Hester, was diagnosed with, I'm going to butcher this, but myelodysplastic syndrome, which is a cancer-like syndrome in 2010. Dr. Fata told her it was terminal, but he wouldn't put her on the bone marrow transplant list. Instead, he gave her iron infusions and drugs for immunodeficiency disease. He told her that she would die from cancer or a secondary infection.
So, do you ever get into why he did this?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, was he just inept or did he have pleasure?
It's money.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Yeah, there it is.
Yep. Patty did not have MDS. She was fine. She now deals with high blood pressure and hair loss, and it took an emotional toll on the family. She thought she was going to die. Her family thought she was terminal and she didn't have long to live. Her husband said that they took a rush trip to Disney World to try and make some lasting family memories. And he watched as she gave away her belongings and keepsakes for people to remember her by.
Oh my God.
I know.
I
Yeah.
mean, hey, they still got to go to Disney as a family. That's pretty
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah. He obviously became very depressed and took up smoking and drinking. All in all, federal investigators believe that Fata tricked 553 people into unnecessary chemotherapy. They found out that he was also taking kickbacks from 2 hospices in the area. If patients said that they were going to get a second opinion, he would discourage them. And when they said their chemotherapy treatments were painful or asked about them, he would belittle them. And there was no prior notice of this wrongdoing. Wait, that sentence doesn't make sense. I think have you ever had it where you're typing and then your cursor moves and then you continue typing?
Yeah,
I think that's what happened
all the
here.
time. I did that 3 times to a patient today. 3 times because we have a little texting system and I kept going to type into Google something
Uh-huh.
and my cursor moved and I have a little, if you move the cursor to the right of the screen, our chat pops up. It's just kind of under the surface, but
Uh-huh.
if you move over it, it opens it up.
Yeah.
And I was in a text, but because I was going to send a message to a patient, but every time I literally went to go type in something, and then my cursor moved, and I would hit enter, and then it would send it as a text
Damn
without me realizing it.
it.
So she's gonna be like, "What the actual fuck?" Because it was literally just capital letters CDHO, and then I sent her an actual text. So it's shit. I guess I gotta make
Yeah.
something up here. And I'm like, "Oh, sorry, blah blah blah. I need to book a nurse's appointment." And then I fucking do it again. I didn't even bother apologizing at that point. I was like, oh my God.
She'll just think it's a system error, hopefully.
I hope so. And so I turned off the whole scroll over and pop up thing because I'm like, I can't do this anymore.
Oh my
But
gosh. She's
yeah,
probably like,
so
what
that
the hell
happened.
is going on with this dentist office?
Literally. So yeah, I know that all too well. Where you're just typing and then your cursor
Yep. I
moves.
think that's what happened here.
Yeah.
So when the sentence was supposed to start, a nurse by the name of Angela Swantek was interviewing for a job with Dr. Fata in 2010. And when she was kind of looking around and they were showing her around, she was alarmed by how the chemo drugs were being given. She said she questioned a few of the medications being given, but when asking other nurses, the reply was, well, that's how we give it here. She obviously didn't take the job and filed a complaint with um, state regulators. And they said that Fata was investigated and cleared. But I'm wondering what kind of investigation was done if they hadn't caught any of this that was going on. Like they couldn't have really done that good of an investigation.
Yeah, I don't know. And first of all, good on her
Yeah.
for saying something. And that was the other thing that I was wondering is how were these other nurses totally okay with what was going on?
Well, and I'm wondering if they didn't know. So, like, I don't know. They don't really ever talk about his other employee. They do have to talk about his wife, but they don't talk about his other employees. And I'm wondering if maybe one, he made sure to hire newer nurses. So maybe they didn't know the ins and outs of the medication he was prescribing.
Hmm.
Like, when you get a seasoned nurse, they generally know like what a certain dosage of medicine should be. But
Well,
maybe like a new
absolutely, yeah.
one doesn't necessarily know as well. And they're not going to question the owner of the whole place.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what I'm thinking probably happened. But in 2013, George Karadesh, who was an office manager at the practice, heard that there was an oncologist quitting, and he went to ask the doctor, like, why? And this doctor explained that Dr. Fata was actually administering chemotherapy to patients without need. He was also explaining that patients who were on hospice were taking off hospice and put on chemotherapy, like put back on chemotherapy. He also pointed out that patients who were receiving chemotherapy without disease were receiving it to the very last day of life. So at that point, I discovered that there may be some issues there. So he started talking to other doctors and comparing Dr. Fada's treatment with other doctors' treatment. And he was like, whoa, that's not normal. So he immediately went to the US Department of Justice. And on August 6th, 2013, FBI agents stormed the Crinton Cancer Center and arrested Fata. Fata was charged with healthcare fraud, conspiracy to take and receive kickbacks, money laundering, and unlawful naturalization. So because he was from Lebanon and they said that he lied on his application because he was engaging in fraud, that's why they put that charge there. He was facing 75 years in prison and possibly having his naturalization revoked, which means if he ever did get out of prison, he'd be shipped back to Lebanon.
Holy shit. Good.
Yeah. So he, like I said, he did this for money. So he could charge a lot. He could charge a lot of the insurances for these procedures that he would then keep. He was getting the kickback from hospice care. So, if he was charging or like someone in his practice was dying because of his chemo, he would get a kickback for putting them in these certain hospice care places. And he made a shit ton of money off of this. We're talking like, I think millions to billions of dollars. And they think that his wife was involved because as soon as he was arrested, she fled to Lebanon.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And then they ended up
Wow.
getting divorced.
She probably wanted all that money.
Mm-hmm.
The good life, right?
Yeah. On September 14th, 2014, Fata pleaded guilty and was sentenced to 45 years.
Honestly, it's more than I thought.
Okay.
Figured they'd probably give him like 15 to 20.
Okay.
I don't know why, just a random number.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's still kind of shitty.
Especially because he was looking down the barrel of 175.
Yeah, and you mess with people's lives.
I mean, you basically tortured people.
Yeah, mentally, physically,
Yeah.
emotionally, financially.
And I don't understand. One of the things I didn't get was that none of his charges had anything to do with what he did to people. Like, I feel like they could have come up with some kind of torture charge. Like, he literally tortured people.
Well, I think the whole fraud thing is to do with the patients. Like he frauded
Yeah.
them of different things, right?
Yeah.
So,
And the insurance companies, which I think is,
exactly. So, a lot of it, as much as it's not like a personal charge, those charges are directed towards the people that he hurt.
yeah. I thought there would be something like attempted murder or something, along that vein. But this was
Yeah.
all like money type charges.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't understand the law half the time.
Same.
Like it makes no fucking sense. Why are you going to have these outrageous up to 175 years if you're never going to follow through with it?
Yeah. Yeah. So Fata will be eligible for release December 11th, 2051, when he's 86 years old. He said to the victims at trial, like at his sentencing, the quest for power is self destructive. They came to me seeking compassion and care. I failed. Yes, I failed. Like, you don't have any remorse. Don't lie. Like, this was not a a crime of passion. This
No,
was
dude, this
not
was intentional.
like you saw these people in pain and you were just like, man, you'll deal with it. It's fine.
It's the
Like,
what, like Munchausen's by proxy?
yeah, yeah.
Ugh, especially with the people that didn't even have cancer.
I know. I know. Well,
That's
this asshole isn't
wild.
done. In May of 2018, he tried to get his guilty plea tossed out, saying that he received poor legal advice. That quote, my guilty pleas were not the result of my actually being guilty. From day one to present, I have steadfastly maintained my innocence. He said that he didn't understand the consequences of his admission of guilt and that he had believed that he would receive as much as 50% less jail time for providing federal officials with information about what he said was other healthcare fraud and national security issues. Federal agents said, nah, we good, Holmes. And
I was gonna
his
say, fuck you.
yeah. And his lawyers were also like, no. We not only advised him on exactly what would happen, but we in fact told him not to do it. In fact, his first lawyer, Christopher Androff, has testified that he tried to defend his client, but the evidence against him was overwhelming. He also said that Fata said a few times that he was guilty in their private consultation and that he had told him that he should only plead guilty if it's for a prison term of 20 to 30 years. Prosecution also entered into evidence that Fata had submitted a court filing with forged signatures of his two lawyers back in 2015.
Oh my God, buddy, give it up.
I know. His lawyer also said that a study that Fata cited saying, like, oh, this study supports my treatment plans likely never occurred. And in fact, the information that Fata submitted as the hospital study seemed to have been typed out on the same type of typewriters that they have in prisons. Needless to say, his plea was denied and he is still in jail as we speak.
Dude, give it up.
I know. I know.
Dumbass.
Yeah, so this was in my home state. Pretty crazy. And I hadn't heard of this before. It was in the news recently. I'm not sure why. My dad was telling me about it and I was like, "Oh, I have to look into this." But
Yeah,
yeah, he did this to over 553 people.
that's outrageous.
I know.
Like, how do people like that get into the medical profession?
I know. I know.
Like,
And
you get into that to help people, not rip them off and hurt them more.
yeah. And one of his victims basically said, like, I don't know that I'll ever be able to forgive him for what he did to me and my family. Like, I hope
No.
you rot in prison.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah.
Also, can we take a moment
Mm-hmm.
talking about what's been in the news?
Uh, yeah, we should.
Yeah, the stuff that you told me yesterday because we don't get it. I know Kyle knew of one of them,
Mm-hmm.
but not the other one.
Yeah, I guess there was a third one too.
Oh,
Yeah. So for our Canadian listeners, I'm sure our American listeners have heard, we had a few shootings yesterday. One was the I mean, they're all awful, but the one that had the most casualties was at the Kansas City Super Bowl parade. They won the Super Bowl, so they had a parade through Kansas City. And last I heard, they had two people in custody that had open fired. Well, I don't know if these two people open fired, but there was multiple gunmen and 20, I think at this point, 22 people are hospitalized. One lady died. They released her name today. She was a local DJ. And she was really a pillar of the community. She was the one who passed. The other 22 are in the hospital, nine of which were kids, because it was a parade. You bring your kids to parades. And then there was a shooting in Atlanta at a school. In the school parking lot, someone opened fired and four students were shot. And then in DC, there was a shooting with one officer dead, two officers injured when they were arresting someone for animal cruelty. So I don't
why?
I don't even know what to say at this point. Um,
The thing that
yeah.
gets me the most is I've seen videos of people having to buy their children bulletproof backpacks.
Oh, I'm 100% buying my kids bulletproof backpacks. Like, no
Yeah,
question.
like it's just crazy to me that that's
A
even,
thing.
yeah,
They have to do shooter drills in elementary school, Jessica. Elementary school, they do shooter drills.
yeah. I know that we did similar types of drills if somebody came into our school. So,
Mm-hmm.
but
Yeah.
I don't, we didn't do it very often.
Mm-hmm.
That's just, I, I don't know what to say because I don't know enough about them, but like, it's just terrible.
It's awful, and it's one of the reasons why we seriously thought about homeschooling our children.
Yeah,
And
I get that.
it's terrifying to go anywhere in America, anywhere that people are having a good time. Like, it could be your last day. Like, even the malls are having shootings. It's just,
What?
you can't go anywhere. I was shocked that nothing happened on New Year's Eve in Times Square.
That's
I was shocked that
insane.
nothing happened at the Super Bowl. Like, it's
Yeah,
it's terrifying. Any big event where there's a ton of people, like, you have to know how to get out of there. And it makes me nervous. It's something that's on my mind every time I go to an event.
yeah, I couldn't.
It's asinine, and it's asinine that we still haven't done anything about it, and it's asinine that people's lives are being put below the money that these politicians are making off the NRA.
Yeah,
And honestly, like, everybody said, "Oh, it's my right, it's in the Constitution." I don't give a fuck about your damn rights. If it puts my child's
mm,
life at risk, I don't give a fuck about your rights to own a gun.
yeah,
And that's how I feel
yeah.
about that.
So our thoughts are with the families
Yes.
of everybody involved. It shouldn't happen.
It shouldn't. It shouldn't happen. I saw a thing on TikTok today, so take it with a grain of salt because I haven't like verified the facts, but it sounds right. Is that we are on day 45 of the new year and we've had 48 shootings,
Oh my.
which I don't know if that's true. Actually, I'm going to Google that right now to see. But it's a cliche now, and people laugh about, oh, thoughts and prayers, because that's the only thing that is ever done. Thoughts and prayers, thoughts and prayers. CNN said this was April of 2021. So I don't know. I'm not finding anything on Google for that. So maybe that wasn't true. But there is an article that says Kansas City shooting may have stemmed from personal dispute. Two juveniles are detained.
That's the other problem is you're targeting, but you're also randomly shooting into a crowd.
Yeah. It says that one 43-year-old woman died
Oh
and
my
the other
God.
22 victims in range in age from 8 to 47, and half are younger than 16. It's terrifying. I mean,
Well,
I don't want to live here anymore.
I don't blame you, especially with your crazy doctors.
Can't get nothing done right here.
All right, well, this story might change your mind.
All right, let's talk about some ghosties and
Yeah,
make me feel better.
because the Queen Mary is in California, so
Okay.
whoop whoop. Is that a good
Woo-hoo.
thing to be like California?
Yeah, I like it. California is super liberal, like to a fault almost, but I'm liberal, so
Okay. I don't know what that means, but let's get into
let's
it.
get into it.
The Queen Mary's history is filled with grandeur, elegance, and history, and her creation and debut were nothing short of amazing. And that made me think that I didn't give my sources. So I used thequeenmary.com, Britannica, Marine Site, and usghostadventures.com, but I don't think it's the like Ghost Adventures people because it didn't talk about Zach at all. So
It's probably US Ghost Adventures, is what I would think. So it's probably different than like Ghost Adventures with Zach Baggins.
I don't want to talk about it.
I hope Kyle hears this one. Kyle, give her crap.
He listens to us every week, and he was listening to us when I was in the car with him last week or a few days ago. I can't remember. And it was our last episode. So I'm crying in the episode, and I'm crying in the car listening to the cave story again. Oh my God.
Cody was talking the other day. So Cody hates true crime. He is a sweet, gentle soul, and you wouldn't know it by just knowing him, but he's a sweet, gentle soul. And that stuff just really upsets him, like just disturbs him. He doesn't like it. It upsets him. So he doesn't listen to our podcast. The other day he was talking about like, he's like, yeah, I've never been invited on to talk. Cause I was talking about how Kyle had, I think I was talking about how Kyle had done a couple episodes or whatever. And he's
Yeah.
like, I've never been invited on to talk. And, I could talk about things. And I was like, you don't even listen to us. Kyle listens to us every week almost.
That's so funny. Like, dude, come on.
You don't even listen to us. But he could come on here and talk about, he was a Navy submariner. If anybody wants to hear about that, let me
I
know.
do.
You
I want to hear about it.
want to hear all about Navy submariner? He's got some funny stories. I want to share this one story, but I don't know if I can. So let me ask him and I'll share it next week if I can. But
Okay.
okay.
Sweet. Okay, anyways, let's talk about this boat.
Yeah.
Okay. So now that I gave you my sources, ever since her building in Clydebank, Scotland started in 1930, the Queen Mary was always going to be unique. While facing financial difficulties during the Great Depression that caused the ship's construction to halt for a number of years, Cunard Line spared no expense in building the Queen Mary, which was formerly referred to as Task Number 534. The story goes that the Queen Victoria was the name chosen by the Cunard Board of Directors, following the Cunard practice of naming ships with the suffix IA. So they had the Mauretania, the Aquitania, and Berengaria. So they all ended in IA. But this one doesn't, and there's a funny story to go with it.
They could have named it Maryia.
Maryia?
Why are we both so dumb today? I was just trying to put an IA at the end of Mary. So I was doing Maria, trying to make a stupid joke. But yes, that would indeed be Maria without a Y.
So funny. This episode's a wreck.
We're such idiots. Oh God. It's been a long week, guys. It's been a long week. My kids have been freaking feral this week. I had a meeting today. Speaking of which, they were fine all morning. I had a meeting and both of them lost their shit at the same time while I was in this meeting. And then afterwards, they just sat quietly and played. I was like,
Oh my gosh.
mother. I love my children, but sometimes they are feral.
Yeah, absolutely.
Anywho, sorry, continue. Queen Mary.
So, in accordance with procedure, the story has it that the Cunard directors went to King George to request his approval of the planned name for the ship, stating, "We have decided to name our new ship after England's greatest queen, which is Queen Victoria, granddaughter of the king." So, he reportedly said to them, "My wife, Queen Mary, will be delighted that you are naming the ship after her."
Oh no.
Yeah. Snap, snap, snap. The Queen Mary was the first ship from Britain to compete in the 1,000-foot class, measuring 1,019 and a half feet, or 311 meters, built with a gross tonnage. Tonnage? I think tonnage, 'cause ton.
I think tonnage.
Yeah, of 81,237 tons. And it could accommodate 2,038 passengers. Remember that.
How big was it compared to the Titanic?
The fuck am I supposed to know that?
I don't know.
Ugh. Okay. Woman, how long was the
I meant it was like
Titanic?
how many passengers could the Titanic carry?
Okay, well, the Titanic was 269 meters, and this was 311 meters.
Okay.
Okay. The Queen Mary set sail on her first trip on May 27th, 1936, leaving Southampton, England.
Wait, how many people could it carry?
2,038.
Oh, the Titanic could carry 2,453.
Wow.
What a loser Queen Mary is.
It's actually pretty good because it didn't sink.
You got me there.
She had a big ballroom, a squash court, 2 cocktail bars, 5 eating spaces and lounges, a modest hospital, and some swimming pools. When it came to transatlantic travel, which the wealthy and well-known saw as the only acceptable kind of transportation, the Queen Mary had set a new standard. She immediately captured the hearts and minds of people across the Atlantic by encapsulating the essence of a time period renowned for its grace, sophistication, and flair. The Queen Mary was the world's most opulent ocean liner for 3 years following her inaugural voyage, transporting dignitaries like Winston Churchill, nobility like the Duke and Duchess of Windsor, and Hollywood stars like Bob Hope and Clark Gable.
Ooh, fancy. Clark Gable.
Who is he?
He's a really famous actor.
Oh, okay. She even broke a speed record at this period, which she kept for 14 years.
Wow, that's impressive.
Isn't that cool? However, the Queen Mary's arrival in New York in September 1939 marked the final occasion she would transport non-military passengers for an extended period. With the outbreak of World War II, the Queen Mary was being converted into a troop ship. She lost her opulent facilities and was painted a disguised drab color,
That's sad.
right? Like known for just being beautiful, and then you're just squashed. The Queen Mary, which could carry up to 16,000 soldiers at 30 knots, was the biggest and fastest troop ship ever built.
That's crazy that it was built for one purpose, but then it was transformed into another purpose and was like kick ass at it.
Yeah,
Also, I Googled it just for the hell of it. The biggest cruise ship nowadays can hold 7,600 guests. Just FYI.
cool. That's cool. She was also nicknamed the Gray Ghost due to her ethereal appearance and striking color, which I absolutely love. The ship and the escort ship, HMS Curacao, collided into a deadly disaster. Okay, I don't think it's Curacao, but I think it's Curacoa. But
Oh, it's not like the liquor enhancing flavor.
I don't think so because it's spelled Curacoa. So I think it's Curacoa.
Oh, I'm looking up
So
the Queen Mary right now because I wanted
I
to see
apologize.
what she looked like, but they only have the like I can only see images of her now with like the black bottom and the white top.
Yeah. Anyways, so as I was saying, the Queen Mary and the HMS Curacoa collided in a deadly disaster in October 1942 close to Ireland. The cruiser sank as the Queen Mary, which was about 20 times bigger, tore through it. So basically, in an attempt to deter any missile assaults, the Curacoa. See, and here it's spelled as Curacao. I don't.
I don't know.
Anyways, we're gonna go to HMS Curacoa Curacao because I wrote it two different ways.
I hate it when that happens.
But basically, it was zigzagging to try and avoid being hit in front of the Queen Mary. And so the 82,000-ton ship struck it by accident and then split it in half. A few crew members died instantly. And then in the icy water, some people died from hypothermia or drowning.
Oh, that's sad.
So an estimated 329 men perished as a result.
Oh my gosh.
And the Queen Mary never stopped to save them because
Oh.
doing so would have jeopardized the safety of the thousands of soldiers on board.
Wait, was
And
the other ship not American? Did I miss that?
I don't know. It just said the HMS Curacao, Curacoa,
Oh.
but I'm assuming it was the same team because they were trying to avoid missiles
Yeah, but then why would it be dangerous
because
for them to stop?
because I'm sure missiles are being thrown. So if you're going to stop in the
Oh,
middle of the
yeah, okay.
water
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay.
for hours to try and rescue people, like you're going to get hit, right?
Yeah, that makes sense.
And
Forgot
the
about those
fact,
little old missiles.
yeah. And the facts about what actually transpired here remained a secret until 3 years after the war had ended.
That's crazy. So what did people think happened to the other ship?
They must have assumed that it got hit by a missile
Oh my gosh, that's
and
crazy.
sank, right?
Yeah.
So, because it was a lot smaller than the Mary.
Yeah.
So,
That's crazy.
yeah. And the Queen Mary underwent a 10-month resupply a 10-month retrofitting effort to restore her to her former splendor following the end of World War II. The Queen Mary began regular transatlantic passenger service on July 21st, 1947, and carried on with the service for over 20 years. The Queen Mary's era came to an end with the rise in popularity of air travel. Cunard opted to sell the fabled Queen Mary and retire in 1965 after realizing that the entire fleet was losing money. The Queen Mary set out on her last journey on October 31st, 1967,
Ooh, spooky.
and arrived in Long Beach, California on December 9th, 1967. So it was a month and a half, which is kind of cool. And it's kind of cool that they left for their last trip on October 31st because it just kind of ties into the whole super haunted ship thing.
Yeah, it's super fun. Not the haunted ship, but they left on October 31st.
No, the haunted shit's pretty cool. So,
Yeah, 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 for sure.
The Queen Mary was lying in Southampton's Western Docks. Captain John Treasure Jones. I imagine your middle name is fucking Treasure, and then you become a captain of a ship.
Dude, one of Cody's coworkers' last name is Sparkman, and he
I
works in
love that.
electricity.
I love
Isn't
that.
that awesome?
That's so cool. So, this captain dude eagerly anticipated the day when he would set sail on his exquisite vessel from England for the final time. He knew that this would be the most difficult journey of his career because it would be his final one before he retired from the sea. The Royal Marine Band was available to provide music for the ship, much like it was during the maiden voyage in 1936. And I don't know why, when I was reading this and doing the research, I thought that was just the cutest thing ever.
It is
What?
cute. I like it.
It's really cute.
Yeah, it is.
And then I think of in Encanto when they're on that ship and the donkeys are playing the violins.
I love that movie. I've watched it like 700 times.
Same in our house. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Not my children. My children haven't watched it. I've
Oh,
watched it.
oh,
And for my kids, for Oliver anyway, Mickey Mouse or bust, man.
oh, yeah. No, Evie's like obsessed with Encanto. It's so funny.
I wish Oliver would watch other Disney movies. He only wants Mickey Mouse. Or have you ever seen Vampirina?
No,
It's about this little vampire girl that moved to Pennsylvania.
no, really.
She's very cute. It's a very cute show. I thoroughly enjoy it.
Oh, good. So, yeah, it's just super cute. The band's there to play like they did the first day. It's just adorable. Streamers were everywhere, and passengers were jam-packed onto the deck. The ship's port propeller began to rotate at 9:42 a.m., and the ropes connecting it to Great Britain were swiftly hauled in. Ships of all sizes and kinds saluted the departing king with whistles. And I don't know if that means the captain is the king because he's the captain of the queen, but because I didn't see anywhere where the king was on the ship. So
I like your thought. He was the
yeah,
captain of the Queen.
yeah, he was the king of the queen, king of queens.
I enjoyed that show back in the day.
It was so
It
cute.
was. I'm a big what's his face fan.
Kevin,
Yeah.
oh no,
Kevin
yeah,
what? Yeah.
Kevin, what?
It's not coming to me. I know it.
Me to either. And I see him in everything.
I love him. He's funny and he seems really sweet. And Kevin James, there it is.
Oh my God.
Anywho,
Anyways, he's funny. I love him. And I love Leah Remini too.
I'm a big Patton Oswalt fan too.
Yeah. To each of them, Captain Jones responded with 3 blasts from his powerful 1-ton Typhon sirens. It was an
Ooh.
amazing farewell. This had to be the end of an era. Just so cute. It's just a little cruiser. It's just a cruiser ship. And they have this whole like ceremony. I think it's the most
It's
adorable
cute.
thing
I love
ever.
that. That's really cute.
So the document that I was reading, or the article I was reading, I don't know why I said document. Um, they explained each different port that they stopped in. They'll tell us the ports because I think it's cool. And then I didn't get into all the details because it was basically just like they stopped in this port. They were all really hot, so they got off the ship for like a little bit, got different items to, because they had warmer clothes on, I guess. And the ship was getting really hot because it was made of steel or whatever. So people were getting like really hot. So yeah. But anyways, so
Cool, cool, cool.
I don't know why I thought that was an interesting factoid, but anyways, in different ports they got off and like tried different things. It was really cool. It's what you do on a cruise. I don't know why they thought it was relevant, but anyways, they had ports in Lisbon, Portugal, Las Palmas, Rio de Janeiro, Cape Horn, which is in Chile, Valparaiso, which is also in Chile, Callao, Peru, Balboa, Panama, and Acapulco, Mexico.
That sounds like a fun little cruise there.
Sounds like an amazing fucking cruise.
Yeah.
So much fun. I'm so excited for all them. I don't know why I'm excited for people in the past, but
It's gonna
they're
be a good
all,
time for them.
yeah. From Acapulco, the voyage was uneventful, although the passengers were eager to return home, but they were also sad that their days of sailing the Queen Mary were coming to an end. To everyone's amazement and excitement, a brand new, sleek Douglas DC-9 flew low over the Queen on December 8th, the last day at sea, dropping hundreds of red, white, and blue carnations. How
Oh
freaking
my gosh,
cute!
that's so cute.
Yeah. This occurred off the coast of Baja California. Thus, on the ship's maiden journey, it was replicating what seasoned pilot Captain Eddie Rickenbacker had done in a DC-2 in 1936 when it neared New York. So just all of these different things that happened on the maiden voyage is now happening on the last voyage, and it's just the cutest thing ever. I don't know why, but it just made me really happy.
Yeah, and this all seems very nice and happy, and I'm failing to see why it's so haunted yet.
I'm gonna get
Okay. So far,
it.
everything's peachy cute.
Well, they did kill a whole ship of people at one point.
Yeah, okay. Well, aside from that.
On December 9th, 1967, the Queen Mary was peacefully sailing past San Diego in the crisp morning air. Despite the previous late night, the majority of her passengers were awake and moving around. Some had even partied through the night. Soon after sunrise, vessels of all sizes and forms emerged from each cove along the shore, traveling with the vessel. The armada became so big that it needed the Coast Guard to guide it. Even the cutting-edge nuclear-powered cruiser USS Long Beach was dispatched by the U.S. Navy to participate in the event. And
So cute.
it's adorable because an estimated 5,000 small vessels were waiting to welcome the Queen home when she approached Long Beach.
Oh, I love
I
that.
know. I know. Like, you don't expect a ship like this to be praised so much. It's just adorable. The RMS Queen Mary would finally and gloriously enter Long Beach Harbor. Before midday, she was hurried to Pier E. Captain Jones sounded the final finish with engines siren at 12:16 p.m. After then, the ship underwent roughly $31 million worth of modifications.
Oh my gosh, for a ship that wasn't going to sail again?
Yep. The liner started offering tours in 1971, and by the end of the year, a part of its Museum of the Sea was accessible to the public. The following year, Queen Mary's Hotel opened for business and added a few eateries. It has now been longer in Southern California than this beautiful steamship was at sea. Over 12,000 marriages have been held on board, and she has entertained about 50 million people. She has come to represent Southern Californians in the same way as the Statue of Liberty represents New Yorkers, the Eiffel Tower represents Parisians, and Big Ben represents Londoners. The Queen Mary, now a famous Southern California landmark, hotel, and event space, has never enjoyed greater popularity since she left the ocean as a working ship in 1967. The ship transported 810,000 military men during World War II and an estimated 2.2 million passengers during peacetime.
That's crazy.
810,000 military soldiers.
That's insane.
Yeah. Famous English psychic Lady Mabel Fortescue Harrison prophesied on the day the ship was launched in 1934 that the Queen Mary will know her greatest fame and popularity when she never sails another mile or carries another fare-paying passenger.
Oh,
Uh-huh. And the Queen Mary suffered the loss of at least 47 lives while at sea. During an emergency drill, a door crushed John Petter, who was a young crew member. After consuming gin that turned out to be cleaning solvent,
oh my
another
God.
individual passed away, and natural causes claimed the lives of many others. At least that's what was said. Before
Mm.
Before Queen Mary retired, however, hundreds more are supposed to have perished on, or at least at the hands of her. So, some shit went down on that ship. And I know some of the soldiers also died because of heat exhaust, like because of the heat,
Oh,
because they were all packed in and it was
yeah.
like steamy, right?
Yeah.
So it was like a can of tuna.
Ew.
But yeah, so I have ghosties now that
Okay.
we've gotten through the history.
I'm I am surprised that there's not for as haunted as it is, for how well known of being haunted that it is. There's not more of like a tragic history to it. Like, I don't know, it just seems like for as haunted as it is, there should be some huge tragedy that happened, you know?
Yeah, I don't know. Sometimes ghosts just get trapped, especially if their blood was on the ship. Could have soaked into the boards.
My blood is in this office.
I told you you're gonna haunt the shit out of that house.
Oh no, I don't want to be stuck in West Virginia forever.
So many travelers have reported seeing a variety of apparitions and happenings that in most cases could not have happened on a ship that has been out of service for more than 40 years. Apparently, there are over 100 spirits on the ship, the most notorious being in stateroom B340, where paranormal activity is so severe and frequent that some crew members won't even go inside, and everybody has their own theory about what's in that room.
Let me guess, that's the room you'd want to stay in.
No, I don't.
Interesting.
I don't think I would want to, but I don't think I could. I love spooky shit, but I'm also the biggest scaredy cat. Like this shit freaks me out so
More of
much.
a scaredy cat than me.
No, but I I want to experience something, but I'm also scared that if something happened, that I would just like lose touch of reality for a long time.
just go insane.
Yeah, literally.
You see one ghost, you're out of it.
So one of these theories was from Walter J. Adamson. Oh, just kidding. It wasn't from him. It is him. So Walter J. Adamson was a third-class passenger. He unexpectedly passed away in the room in 1948. So is the place haunted by him, or did the ghost kill him? Who fucking knows? Another theory was after a man had killed two women in the 1960s, staff members confined him in his third-class room. He started banging on the door in the middle of the night, telling the guard outside that something was in the room with him. His twisted, bloody body was there when they opened the door in the morning, and he had been torn to pieces.
That one's going to give me a nightmare tonight.
Just don't be locked in your room by yourself.
He's playing poker. I have to go to bed alone.
Oh.
Because I'm going to go to bed as soon as we're done with this, and he'll probably be up for a couple hours. But I am an old lady and I need to go to bed.
One woman claimed that in the middle of the night, someone tore off all of her bedding, waking her up. And if that wasn't bad enough, she also saw a man leaning over the bed.
Oh,
No thanks.
that just gave me chills and made me gag at the same time.
Some reported hearing voices in the night and the faucets turning on by themselves. And
Excuse me, ghost. Who the hell is paying for that water?
literally, well, you're not. You're a passenger on
Truth.
In the 1970s, suite B340 was the subject of so many unfavorable reports that it was kept off of the public's radar for more than 30 years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. In 2018, it reopened as a haunted attraction. However, a strong warning is included with the key. Certain areas of the ship, such as the second-class pool, the haunted bedroom, shaft alley, and the adjoining restroom, appear to have had abrupt temperature swings when people have visited. It's rumored that occasionally the stateroom smells like perfume and cigars. The sounds of doors creaking, knocks, abrupt squeals, laughter, people chatting, whistling in an empty room, and many other things are some of the strange phenomena.
It's the
It is,
whispering that gets me.
it's the children giggling that fucking gets me. No thanks.
Yeah. But I think I could explain that away. I could be like, oh, there's some kids laughing somewhere. But like the whispering, like to hear that, I'd be like, oh God.
People can be whispering nearby too, you donkey.
Yeah, but like you wouldn't hear it as well. You know what I mean?
I guess. It is common to see the bearded man of a crewman wearing blue overalls. The apparition of this ghost alludes to a well-known incident, as I discussed, during a routine fire drill in which a fireman was killed by being crushed behind a watertight door. And the ghostly figure is that of the same crew member that was killed and is now haunting the entryway that caused his death. Another eerie occurrence that visitors have reported frequently is the emergence of wet footprints
Oh,
on the floor next to the first class swimming pool when swimming is not possible.
I hate everything about that. But at least that ghost is still having fun.
Yes. Or they drowned,
Oh, yeah, it's probably not good.
right?
Yeah.
There have also been sightings of a little girl, here we go, who had drowned in one of the pools.
Oh,
There have also been the sounds of children laughing and or crying from the playroom nursery.
that's fucking creepy.
Yep. And visitors claim to have seen the ghost of an engineer who died in the engine room, as well as a woman dressed in white.
There's always a woman dressed in white. Have you ever noticed that?
Always.
Always.
Always. So it was sweet, but it was beautiful. And that's my story.
I loved that. That was really good.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Um, I have a dirty joke for you.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Say addicted to everything I say, okay?
Okay.
If somebody does a lot of drugs, they're.
Addicted.
If somebody drinks a lot of water or drinks a lot, they are.
Addicted.
What hit you in the face last night?
That's a good one. I like that.
Uh, I saw that on TikTok today. I was like, that's amazing.
I like that one a lot.
What is the most annoying pepper?
I don't know.
Jalapeno, because it gets jalapeno face.
You gotta say it with like added, like gets jalapeno face. You gotta have the attitude.
I'm not addicted to brake fluid. I can stop whenever I want.
Stupid.
This is amazing. Last night I dreamt I was a muffler. I woke up exhausted.
Oh, Kyle, like that one.
Why do bees hum?
I don't know why.
Because they don't know the words.
Poor bees.
Oh my God. I'm done.
I love that. Those are good. If you want
Thanks.
more of us lovely ladies, you can find us on TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, and
YouTube.
YouTube and Patreon. Join our
Patreon.
Patreon, $3, and it gets you an extra bonus monthly episode and a sticker.
Yeah, boy. Oh, and if you can want it, if you want to,
If you can wanna.
if you can, please do. If you wanna, please do. Rate and review us on Spotify and Apple Podcast.
Thanks for tuning in, and we look forward to bringing you 2 new stories next week.
Bye.
Bye.